In the passage, Matthew, in verses 1 and 2, the disciples come to Jesus and they ask him about the end of the age. And in verse 3 of Matthew chapter 24, they say, "Tell us, when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming at the end of the age?" The second coming of Christ back to earth. And Jesus in this section listed a number of signs to look forward that would precede his coming back to earth. Things like political instability, natural disasters, climate change, religious persecution, religious apostasy. The word apostasy means falling away. People no longer following God, turning away from God. And then at the same time, worldwide evangelization attempts. You would have the revealing of the Antichrist, the beginning of the Great Tribulation. And then in verse 29, more natural phenomena. And then all of that would be climaxed by and culminated with the second coming of Jesus Christ back to earth, verses 30 and 31. And then he went on to say that his return would happen unexpectedly. He said, no man knows the day nor the hour. It'll happen at a point in time you don't know. And he said there will be for some people who will not be paying attention to those signs, and they will catch them unawares. And then he went on to say that true believers should keep on watching in order not to be caught surprised by it. And so what we now have in the text that I'm looking at is directions from Jesus as to how he wants us to live our lives in light of his promised second coming. And that's the passage that we're going to look at, the final 6 verses of the chapter in Matthew 24, beginning at verse 45. "Who then is the faithful and wise servant whom the master has put in charge of his household to give them their food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant when his master finds him doing so when he returns. I tell you the truth, he will put him in charge of all of his possessions. But suppose that servant is wicked and says to himself, 'My master is staying away a long time,' and he begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. And the master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, in an hour he's not aware of, and he will cut him to pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And so what Jesus wants us is to be aware there's a particular way he wants you to live in light of his second coming, in his return to earth, and how we are to live as we await his return. Now, one of the most important things in this is how you spend your time, how you live your days. And I want to do a new series starting today on Christian time management. The series is entitled, "The Hurrier I Go, Behind Her I Get," Mark Twain's statement from Alice in Wonderland. And the statement this morning I want to look at is the one that Jesus asked, "Who then is that faithful and wise servant?" And I want you to ask yourself, am I being a wise servant or am I being a wicked one? Think about it.